everyone. Today is Wednesday, April 18th. I was going to say March 18th, but it's April 18th. Been busy working on the Red Rock Northern layout, aside from finishing my taxes. So the last update I posted on YouTube, I think it was about 3 weeks ago or so. I've been working fairly hard since then. I posted a photo on the Facebook group that I'm a member of, and it was a photo of my son and I. It was about 2 weeks ago, maybe a little longer. We just went to Menards and got a bunch of wood. Kind of a teaser photo, and I kind of said something big is coming to the layout, something that I've been planning on. So anyways, I'll show that photo now. Now that you've seen the photo, you might have an idea of what might have been added. Take a guess or two, and also throw up a quick photo of basically what the layout room looked like prior to this update. Alright, so you get the general idea. If you've been following the channel, following the layout, you have an idea of where I've been at progress-wise. Bench work is in, working on the scenery, track is for the most part done. So let's go ahead and look in the layout room and see what's changed. And I'm gonna switch camera modes, hopefully I can do this on the fly. Alright, so let's go to the layout room. So it's down this hall. A couple of photos got from my dad. Worked for the Burlington Northern for many years, many decades, retired. It's just down this hallway. And here we are. We've got lighting and balances up. That's what I've been working on. So let's go into the duck under and take a look. Someday hopefully that'll be a probably a lift up, so I don't have to crawl anymore. But taking a look around, this is the valance and the lighting that I put up. Took a little bit longer than I planned. The bench work for the valance, that upper shelf, that actually went up in less than a week. Worked on that weeknights and on a weekend. What I kind of had a heck of a time with is the LED lighting that I put in. The first batch of LED lights that I bought, albeit they were super bright, they were extremely hot. Way too hot, and maybe even way too bright. Those were, the LEDs were the SMD 5630s, and that's on a 16.4 foot string, that's 600 LEDs. But just way too hot, and they drew 15 amps at 12 volts. That's like 140 or 144 watts, something like that. And just way too much current going in at the front end. I even tried providing feeders along a bus to kind of feed those LEDs in a couple different spots, and in my opinion they were just way too hot. I mean, at one point they were smoking. To me that's a fire hazard. So I was able to pick up another set of LEDs. These are right over here, and I'll put in the part numbers for the LEDs and the power supply either when I post this video or shortly after. I got two types of LEDs here, both from a company called LEDMO, and basically they're two different colors. So they're both 12 volts. They're both 16.4 feet long. But the difference, and by the way, they're both indoor. But the difference is that these 2835 LEDs, if I zoom in here, you can see on the left we've got warm white. So it's got, kind of see this, I don't know how well it shows up, but it's kind of a yellowish tint. And then on the right side we've got white. Now on the color scale over here, this is like 6000K, something like that. I think it might actually say on the back of the box. Yeah. So the bright whites are 6000 to 6500K, and these other ones are, I think, around 3000. So the warm whites are, okay, 2800 to 3000 K, okay, and both 2835. These are significantly cooler, way cooler, as far as running. Each of these 16.4 foot reels came with a 12 volt 5 amp power supply that comes out to, I think, 60 watts if you do the math. I ordered 6 reels, 3 of each, and I have actually 2 left over, brand new. And then the power supplies, I ended up not using the power supplies that came with these. I used the power supplies that I originally purchased for those bright white, super hot LEDs. And those power supplies are each, I ordered 2 of them, put in 2 of them. Those are 12 volts, 180 watts, 15 amps. And so basically I've got a 12 volt power bus running across the room, actually 2 of them. 1 bus for each color of LEDs. Okay, so, and then 1 power supply runs 1 bus, 1 color, and then the other power supply runs the other bus or the other color. Like if I take a duck under here, you can kind of see the 2 different rows of lightings. We got the bright white is on the right. That's the 6000 K, and then on the left side over here, that's the soft white. That's the 2800 to 3000 K. Up here are the power supplies that I ordered. Supplies a part number for those. I wired those up to obviously the AC wall outlets. They don't come with plugs, but you can just take any old computer plug, which I have hundreds of, cut the ends off, figure out the color coding, and then wire them up. You've got a live, a neutral, and a ground for each one. Just as a by the way, on the color codes on the left, I think that's a US standard. So black is live, white is neutral, green is always ground. And on the right hand side, I had to look this up. I cut this cable off. I had different colored wires. I got brown and blue, and then a green and white one. Turns out this looks to be a UK standard. For that standard, brown is the live, blue is the neutral, and then the green and white is ground. These power supplies work. They get fairly warm. They're not kicking out the full 15 amps. The LEDs that I've got hooked up to them aren't pulling the full 15 amps, but they get fairly warm. The one thing I don't like about them is these units don't have built-in fans. I sort of wish they had fans to keep them a little cooler, give me a little more peace of mind. I worry about accidentally leaving the lights on when I'm not home, but I'll just have to pay good attention to not do that. You know, the downside of fans is they're noisy, okay? So it would add noise to the train room. So these should be okay. I put a piece of 7-ply plywood underneath those. I had these running before just on the foam, and they were getting pretty hot. They weren't melting the foam, but they were pretty hot to the touch. So hopefully this wood dissipates the heat enough. Now I've got these connected to 2 strips, and I'm going to show you why here shortly. So I can control the colors here with those strips. So for instance, both rows of LEDs are on right now. So you got both the bright white and the warm white. If I turn off the warm white, notice the difference in color. So now this has now we just got the bright white 6000 K LEDs, and looks kind of to have more of a bluish tint to it. Conversely, if I shut off the blue and turn on the warm, I kind of like this warm better. Okay, I don't know how well you can pick up the difference on the camera, but this is what the warm looks like. Okay, I'm just going to leave the warms on for now. Let's see, what else? I decided that my backdrop didn't go up high enough, so that was a building mistake. For whatever reason, I thought this backdrop would be tall enough. However, when I started putting the valance up, trying to figure out how tall that should be in here, this is about my eye level, so I can't see the top of the backdrop really, but shorter people could. I drop the camera down, I'm at about 4.5 feet, and you can see bare wall. So to accommodate the shorter people and children that would come to the layout, I went through the effort of cutting additional hardboard strips and fitting them in. This was after I put up the brackets in the upper shelf for the valance, so that wasn't too difficult. Just took a little time ripping them all on the saw and then carefully slipping them in while supporting the weight of the valance. The other thing that I did while we're back here looking at the lights, I don't know how well you can tell here, but this is a piece of 1x2 up here that these are mounted to, and what I did is I cut that 1x2 to a 20-degree angle, so it's pointing kind of inwards, it's throwing the light inwards, and the reason I did that is that LEDs, I've read, have a much narrower throw angle. I think the number is 120 degrees, whereas incandescent bulbs will pretty much throw light everywhere. And so think of these LEDs, I think what that means is that they're sort of directional lighting. And so if we have these LEDs pointing straight down at the front of the fascia, what you'll find if the layout goes deep enough, for instance, at this part of my layout, this is my deepest part of the layout, 2 feet here, as well as over there. What you'd find is it's plenty bright here, but as you start to move to the back, it starts to get dark. You'll see shadows. And so after I got all these 1x2s up and mounted, I took them all back down and brought them back up to the garage, at least for these 2-foot sections for 3 sides of the room, and ripped them all with a 20-degree angle, and then put them back up, and then I mounted the lights. Alright, so obviously still need to now paint the rest of that backdrop. I'll let my kids do that, they love to paint, and then we'll paint these L brackets the same color blue. Let's see, what else? Where's my list of updates? So we got the valance, covered the LEDs, power supplies. Quick thing, last time I think this service road going to the engine house was gray. I painted that, I gave it a couple of coats of black, so it's no longer a concrete road, it's now pavement. Still haven't decided, I don't think the road warrants any kind of line striping, but eventually we'll get some more. I'm gonna get back to scenery now that I got the lighting done, and I'm gonna get probably start ballasting the yard and get some dirt and weeds and grass and so forth put along that road. One of the other things I did that's not real visible on the layout is that, I'll follow the train around while I talk, is I've started getting ready for operations, resurrected my old card database, which is an Microsoft Access database. Had all my old railroad information in it. Basically I purged all the information and I'm starting over from scratch, and got all the industries in there, and I'll get to the waybills soon, but the biggest lift is to get all of my rolling stock and locomotives in there. And so thus far, I've got a Microsoft Access database that I've been maintaining since the early 2000s, and I keep all of the information about my railroad in there, as far as the rolling stock and the locomotives, you know, what it is, what kind, what brand, when I purchased it, how much did it cost, length, color, any kind of notes. For the locomotives, I got a field for, you know, decoder type, so I can keep track of all that stuff, because I've got somewhere around 60 locomotives and 280 pieces of rolling stock. With that database currently up to date, and the need to actually populate my car database, I thought, well, I could either manually enter it all by hand, which I'm not opposed to do, but I thought it'd be quicker just to try to import my roster database into my car card database, and it's actually working really well. It takes some careful handling, but when all is said and done, I'm going to abandon my Microsoft Access roster database, and then going forward my car card database will have all of the same information in there, and I can use it for generating car cards and then getting on with operations for this layout, which is what all these bill boxes are for. So for instance, if we go over here and look at Prairie Co-op, there's a car sitting there. It's I think a Milwaukee Road grain hopper. It's either at this point a load or an empty, but the idea is that this bill box would contain both a card for this car with a waybill inserted inside it, you know, stating what's going on, where it's to be routed next, and so forth. So trying to get that car card database going. It should take just a few more days, and I'll actually be able to start with operations, and then simultaneously I'll work on scenery and so forth. All right, so once again, I'm gonna keep this short. This was about a 16-minute update, I think, including the intro. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off here and head to the gym, and then have dinner, and then probably play with some trains tonight. Maybe I'll start ballasting. We'll see. So if I don't get it done right away, I'll get it done later tonight, or maybe tomorrow. I'll post the links to the power supplies that I purchased and the LED lights, both those super bright hot ones, which I would avoid those if I were you, unless you're okay with a fire hazard. And then I'll post a link for these LEDMO LEDs. These are working very well for me. They're a little warm, but not a fire hazard. So, all right, I think that is it. Thanks everyone for watching, and thanks to I got a number of new subscribers lately. I think they all came from Chuck Baker's Railroad. I really appreciate that. So thanks for the sub, and for everyone that's sub, I go check out your channel, and I've been trying to sub back to you. So if I missed it, let me know, because I love watching everyone else's updates, and it gives me motivation to keep working on my layout, and gives me something to watch while I'm at the gym, take my mind off working out. So, all right, thank you very much. Goodbye.